Higgs boson,
चंद्रशेखर लिमिट,
string theory,
न्यूट्रिनोस,
quantum entanglement.
कुछ समझा क्या?
Ever felt bored and confused while reading lengthy physics textbooks or articles?
Yeah, on God, bro.
I'm Arnav,
And I'm Pratham.
and welcome to Quark Talk, where we decode all the complexities and simplify these intricate concepts in physics.
They may have seemed too complex to understand until now.
At this very moment, many countries and many people are storing a lot of encrypted data like passwords, bank details, and social security numbers.
But they can't open these files, so why are they doing it?
Well, because they believe that.
Hey, what beliefs and truths and all? Is this TOK or what?
No, but that's what they believe, that within the next 10 to 20 years, they'll have access to a quantum computer that can break that encryption in the future. So it's called Store Now, Decrypt Later, or SNDL. And it works because there's information around today that will still be valuable in a decade. For example, things like industrial and pharmaceutical research.
Top secret Elon Musk dancing footage.
Yes, and little government intelligence. And everyone's aware of this threat. The US National Security Administration says that a sufficiently large quantum computer, if built, would be capable of undermining literally any public key algorithm today.
And our current encryption standards like RSA, ECC, and DHKE have been remarkably successful, working effectively for over 40 years.
Yeah, and coincidentally, this is the topic of my Math EE, Math 600 essay. So
Yeah.
I kind of know everything about it, but I'll hand over the history part to you, Pratham.
Sure, thanks a lot. So, up until the 1970s, if you wanted to exchange private information with someone, you have to first meet up with them in person and share a secret key. This same key would be used to encrypt and decrypt messages.
And one example of this is a one-time pad, by the way.
Cool. So it's known as a symmetric key algorithm. And as long as no one else gets their hands on the key, your messages are safe.
But now, what if you want to send information to someone you've never met? Like, I want to send a message to The Rock, like Dwayne Johnson. And I obviously can't arrange an in-person meeting. So, I can't share a key over an unsecured channel like a phone or the mail because it could be intercepted. And this is what, in 1977, led those three scientists, RSA scientists, Reves, Shamir, and Adelman, to come up with an encryption breakthrough. And today, again, as we said earlier, it's known by the initials RSA.
And it works something like this. So every person has two really big prime numbers, all their own, which they keep extremely secret. And they multiply these numbers together to get an even bigger number, which they make public for everybody else to see.
Yeah.
Now, if I want to send someone a private message, I use their big public number to encrypt, or I can say to jumble up my message.
Yeah.
And I jumble it in such a way that it is impossible to unjumble it without knowing the two prime factors that had made the number. So this is an asymmetric key system since different keys are used to encrypt and decrypt the message. So it's basically easy for my intended recipient to decode, but impossible for everybody else unless they can factor that large prime number.
Now, someone can try to factor it using a supercomputer, and let's just assume they have access to the best one, with the best known factoring algorithm, which is the general number field sieve. We'll speak about it later. But modern cryptography uses prime numbers at around 313 digits long.
Oh my god.
So even with the general number field sieve and the supercomputer, it'll take around 16 million years to like literally decode it. So there's not a big problem in today's day and age.
But this brings us to the fact that cryptography or encryption, or whatever you want to call it, isn't really an unbreakable lock, and basically it's not unbreakable and it won't keep your data safe forever. It's just a big, almost unscalable barrier that's not worth it to try also.
But that's not the case for quantum computers, right? As we said in earlier episodes, in normal computers, a bit can only be in one state at a time, either 0 or a 1. So if you had 2 bits, they could be in one of 4 possible states: 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, or 1, 1.
And let's say that each of these states represents a number, 0, 1, 2, or 3. And if we want to do a calculation, for example, raising 7 to the power of one of these numbers we can only do it for one state at one time. In this case, 7 squared, so we get the answer is 49. But quantum computers consist of qubits. We've spoken about that before, which also have states. They have two states, 0 or 1. But unlike a classical bit, a qubit doesn't have to be just in one state at a time. It can be in an arbitrary composition of those states, a superposition, if you will, of 0 and 1.
Yeah.
So if you have two qubits, they can simultaneously exist in a superposition of 0, 1, 2, and 3.
So let's repeat the same calculation. Let's do that, but we'll do it for all of the numbers at the same time. And what we are left with is a superposition of all the different answers, like 7 raised to 0, 7 raised to 1, 7 raised to 2, and 7 raised to 3. So that's 1, 7, 49, and 343. So we are left with superposition of that. It's kind of like a soup. So if we add another qubit, we double the number of possible states. So with 3 qubits, we can represent 8 states and thus perform 8 calculations all at once. And we have already spoken about this, and in a previous episode, it's like 2 raised to 3, 2 raised to 2, like whatever it's a power of 2 kind of thing.
Yeah.
So with 3 qubits, as we said, we can represent 8. And if we increase the number to 20 qubits, you can already represent over 1 million different states. That means you can simultaneously compute over 1 million different answers. And by the way, with 300 qubits, you can represent more states than there are particles in the observable universe.
This sounds incredibly powerful, and it is. But there's one very big catch, of course.
Yep.
It's
like everything.
It's like a random mixture of the components in such a way that we cannot identify each of the components individually.
Yeah.
When you make a measurement, you only get a single value from the superposition, basically at random, and all the other information is lost. So, in order to harness the power of a quantum computer, you need a smart way to convert a superposition of states into one that contains only that specific particular information that you want. And this is an incredibly difficult task, which is why for most applications, quantum computers are useless.
So far we've only identified a few problems where we can actually do this, where we can actually use quantum computers to our advantage. But as luck would have it, they're precisely the problems. These are the problems that are the foundation of all the public key cryptography we use today. Like in 1994, Peter Shor, the guy who made Shor's algorithm, and Don Coppersmith figured out how to make a quantum Fourier transform.
It works just like a normal Fourier transform. Like you apply it to some periodic signal and it returns the frequencies that are in that signal. Now, this may not seem particularly interesting, but consider this. If we have a superposition of states that is periodic, that is, the terms in the superposition are separated by some regular amount, we can apply the quantum Fourier transform, and we'll be left with states that contain the frequency of that signal.
And that we can measure. The quantum Fourier transform allows us to extract frequency information from a periodic superposition. And that's going to come in handy. So how does a quantum computer factor the product of two primes much faster than a conventional computer? Find out in the next episode.
No.
We love hearing from our listeners and are always excited to dive into new topics.
You can reach out to us on quarktalkofficial@gmail.com at any time.